Welcome to episode 4 for the Journey for Greatness podcast. Today we got a great episode for you guys. We're going to be talking about your perfect work-to-life balance and your journey for greatness. And, me and Tom were talking about it a little before we got, and there's no right answer, right? There's no right answer to this. That's the great thing about this topic. Right, Tom?
Yeah, and I think we both are going back and forth, and we're like, we understand. I think everybody in the whole, whatever you want to call it, personal development industry has probably had somebody ask a question. Hey, how do you manage your work life? Why do you, like in a Gary Vaynerchuk example, why do you work 18 hours, and why do you recommend this? Whereas, I was talking to you, Diddy, that there's been times where I feel like my quote unquote work-life balance, even when I was in racing and, even, lately, even the first part of the year when I was working full time, and then I was like selling books and trying to hustle on the side, Uber driving at night, so I felt like my hustle was high, but then I'd be freaking exhausted and I'd be tired. And so there is that balance of trying to figure out what works for you as a person. So I think it was just something that came up, over when I went to, so I was off the grid a little bit. I went to Talladega last weekend, had some thoughts about, just trying to mix up things and, try to get away to have a little fun and get off the grid. And so that kind of prompted the topic for the conversation. So
yeah. And, you say, getting off the grid, taking a rest. Some people don't necessarily agree with that. And that's not to say you can't do that. Some people say they like to try and do that every other few weeks. So I think, as I said at the beginning, and, we definitely agreed on before we got on here, there's no right answer to your work-life balance. So it's definitely just dependent on what you feel is best for you and what you want out of life. Some people are happy with just working Monday to Friday, that 9 to 5, and then when the job's over, going home to their family and putting their work to the side, going on vacations with their family as much as they can, making those memories with their family. And then you have the other people that just are have families, work that, let's say, they're getting up at 4:15, 4:30. They're in the office around 5, and they're working from 5 to 8. They come home and they work more. Now, there's nothing wrong with both of those situations. I just think the second scenario I just said, with waking up early and working all those hours, it's much easier to do when you're younger and you don't have a family.
Yeah. And I think we talked about it even a little bit before about you don't have as, talk about chasing your dreams and, doing things that really do excite you and energize you. And I was even talking about when you're in a job, I can talk about this from experience because I've been in jobs that haven't energized me, where you may work hours and things like that, but you just don't feel like it gives you energy. It almost drains you. So other parts of your life, you feel like you're, it's almost like you're just not, I don't know how to put it into words. I just know the feeling of it. So it's hard for me to, verbalize it, but I just know how I felt in some of these different jobs that I've had that I don't have that excitement level to either put in extra hours. And so that's kind of the current moment that I'm at, where I'm still kind of discovering, and we've talked about that at length, but it's just a matter of, I don't know, it's a tough topic to talk about because everybody talks about it, but there's no easy way to come to a conclusion because it is personal.
Yeah, it's personal in what you want. And on my Instagram page, talk about it all the time. And I'm going to stick to it. I firmly believe that if you want to be very successful, I guess there's different levels of success. And if you want to be very successful at something, then you have to, there's no other blueprint to it. You can't hide from it. You can't tiptoe around it. You have to work the long hours for a long time. Now, that's not to say, though, and I feel like a lot of people get this mixed up, is you have to work those long hours for a long time. But maybe taking a break here or there, stepping back
isn't the worst thing in the world. I think you can find
thing in the world. But you need to, and again, going back to the balance, how many times a year, a week, a month, do you step away? I mean, I bet you there's some successful people out there that aren't stepping away a ton right now, and then obviously as they climb up that ladder and they have some security,
they may be able to step back a little bit.
Yeah, but I do say security, but the higher up that ladder you get, some people work even harder and harder.
They press in harder.
It's all in what you want at the end. I mean, I love the quote, heroes get remembered, but legends never die. So I feel like a hero in almost the latter perspective of, like, being successful is somebody that, like, attained something and then, okay, they've attained it. I'm done. See you later. I'm out. Like, see.
I see what you're saying.
A legend is somebody who, like, attains it, and then he's like, oh, I want more. And they just keep going. And they keep going, and they going, and they going, and because it's just a part of your life. I mean, at the end of the day, I just feel like the work-life balance it's just, what lifestyle do you want to live?
Mm-hmm.
We
talked about it, too, just about people have different lifestyles, you know what I mean? People have different interests. And the thing, I think even Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this, is like, if you're not complaining, if you're content, if you're happy with where you're at, then, that conversation probably isn't for that person. You know what I mean? Like, if that person isn't saying, I wish I had more money, or I wish I had different things, or, wasn't complaining, if I wasn't talking to you, Diddy, and saying, oh, I want this, or I want that, and I'm sitting on my ass not doing anything about it, then that person doesn't really have a right to talk about work-life balance because they're complaining about other things. So I think sometimes he clarifies, that the conversation that he has is sometimes directed towards people that have those complaints and have those things of, well, I'm not quite where I want to be, so you have to put in more work. And there's no way around it. You have to put more work in order to get some of that out. And so another thing, too, is I connected with that guy yesterday I was telling you about. His name's Wes Knight, and he was telling me that he's really motivated on, like, time rather than money, and that kind of made me think a little bit about how do you, like, for us, how do we monetize a podcast? How do we make money out of a podcast? And then it's like, well, you start to think about different ways, and it's like you become smarter with how you earn money. Like he was telling me how he makes certain products and books and things like that, and he's able to make money, I guess, essentially when you're sleeping, you know what I mean? So it's like you become sometimes smarter in the fact that you step back and you're not exchanging your time for money like a 9 to 5, and you become a little bit more, I guess, balanced. I don't know if that's how it would work, but I've never done that. I've never got to a point where I'm able to say, sell a book. You get paid for that book, and you're selling books, and you're not actually going to a job. I've never had that, so I don't know how.
I guess, my question. I hate to put you on the spot, but my question would always be, like, do you really want the work-life balance that you're trying to chase that you get for a little bit, and then, you kind of take time off? And, like, I guess some people may be chasing that work-life balance that they think will make them successful, but at the end of the day, they may not actually want it. They may want it because they think it's going to make them successful, but at the end of the day, all they see is the success, the glam, all of that. So do they actually want that lifestyle? Do they actually want to go through that process, or do they just want to go through it to actually become successful? You know, I mean, so that's I guess that's a question that I think some people have to ask themselves: is do they actually want that lifestyle? Do they really want it? You see what I'm saying? Or
I get it, you know, because it's like you see, you know, you go on Instagram, you see like Frisella, he just literally just got this like crazy Ford GT. You know, it's like, do you want the ability to be able to, like, and we talked about it even before, not about the cars and the money and all that stuff, but like, yeah, I mean, it would be cool to jump in a friggin' badass car and go cruising for the day because you can do it, you know, and a lot of times I think that's cool, and that's what I want, the ability to just go do whatever I want, you know, like in terms of money and not worry about that stuff. So I do, but then to know what the work is and the requirement is to get to that point, sometimes, you know, you kind of look at your actions, and for me, they haven't really lined up with that. You know, it's always based off your actions, not what you talk about, and then that's really what I've been trying to call myself out on.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. But again, too, I think this also goes back to finding what you want to do in your job. So, you know, as you've talked about before, you haven't really gotten that job yet that excites you and whatnot, too. So I know you just kind of talked about not, you know, being able to stay after a few extra hours or something. So
yeah, like it's not energizing. It doesn't get you, you know,
exactly.
There's always got to be little things about a job you may not like, but I think there's certainly opportunities that I think people just settle into, and I think that's been a little bit of my personal problem is you kind of just get settled into something and you're like, you know, you're getting a good paycheck and there's nothing, I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with that, but there is something wrong with the fact if you don't continue to, because what happens is it kind of manifests itself into your work too. Like if you're not doing something, what I've noticed is even just in that job I just had was I was doing the work, I was trying to do the work, I wasn't totally into it, and so that manifests itself in kind of basically shitty results, and then you end up losing the job because you don't have that excitement and passion for it, so you just continue down a road of, one, you're just doing it because you're getting a good paycheck, and that, to me, is a recipe for, you know, just kind of failure, really. I mean, and that's just the reality that I lived. So,
yeah.
You know, you go back to work-life balance, even the opportunity that I just told you about, applying to go, you know, do that thing in New York City, like that excites me. You know what I mean? That to me would be awesome. So that tells me that, you know, I'm willing to sacrifice things to go see that through and see what the opportunity is.
And who knows? You go and get this. You love that opportunity you've gotten with this guy, and maybe you land something somewhere. It excites you. It's your dream job. And all of a sudden, maybe your work-life balance changes because now you're just so excited to do it. And
it
you
doesn't
love to
feel,
do it every
and we
day.
talk about that, yeah. And it doesn't feel like you're working. And we've talked, I mean, there's quotes on it. There's this and that. There's about, you know, you love what you do. You never work a day in your life. And we all see these different quotes by people. And it truly is hard to understand when you're in the other side of things where you are working a job that it you know, it feels like work. It is a grind compared to like what you talk about. You know, when you're doing what you really like to do, you have that different energy about you.
Oh yeah, definitely, without a doubt. Because as you said, you know, it's not work. It's you're just loving what you do. But let's get serious here for a sec. I don't care what you do. You're going to get tired. I feel as though if you're doing it for a long, long time, I mean, hey, E.T. gets tired, but he battles through it. Gary Vaynerchuk gets tired. He battles through it. Tony Robbins gets tired. he battles through it. People get tired. I just think it's easier to battle through when doing something you love instead of trying to battle through it when you're not doing something you love. I mean, perfect example would be this, okay? Let's say I'm working behind a desk. I'm at a computer. I'm in khaki pants, a button down, and I'm working with members, and I'm on the phone with people. If I'm tired and I'm doing that, and I don't enjoy what I do, I'm really not gonna care. I'm just gonna be like, oh my god, like I don't want to be doing this. What the hell am I doing right now? And like,
yeah.
And it's just gonna be a trickle down effect. I'm like, I hate this goddamn job. Like I want to quit this job. Like I hate this. Like I want to go do something else. Like, and then it just all starts to get negative. But it's kind of I get tired of my job. I'm like, all right, Eric, listen, okay, suck it up. You're so privileged to do what you do. There's so many people out there that would love to be doing what you do, and you go to work every single day, and you love what you do, so let's go. Wake up. And it's just like, so I think those are the two different perspectives that you can have when you're tired. It's kind of like you don't care because, you just kind of talked about, working for money and stuff. So if all you work, again, you're just working for the money, then, like, you don't have any motivation for it, then once you hit a roadblock, you get tired, it's just, or, something happens.
Shut down. Yeah, you're just going to shut down.
It's kind of, think about, like, all right, so we played hockey, right? Think about, like, playing croquet, okay? Like, how much do you care about croquet if you were to be on a team? If you were to be put on a team and they were like, hey, listen, Tommy, you're up, get out there, let's go, give it all you got. And you don't like croquet? Whoa. Like, think about it, right? Like, are you honestly going to go out there, and even if you're tired, you're going to battle through it? You're just going to lounge around on the field and just whatever, But, Tommy, get out there. It's the end of the game. It's a hockey game. It means, dude, you're going to be focused. You're going to be dialed in. You're going to do the best you can, whether you're tired or not. You're going to battle through it. So,
it's very true. Yeah.
Those are my two different perspectives right there, is that it's just, and again, we're going back to finding what you love to do. It just changes everything. I mean, even the work-life balance. Some people's, and again, being young like we are right now, and yes, I do consider 30, 31, 32 to be young. I do consider myself a young, strapping lad, but I think it's much easier to kind of figure out what you want to do and do it for those long days, for a long time right now, instead of having a wife and kids and stuff like that, because then you have other people to attend to. But just at the end of the day, I think it just all depends on that work-life balance. And you love what you do, because then you got to sit back and think, okay, like, how much of this is worth that?
Yeah, and you're not quantifying. And I think maybe sometimes this conversation comes up for people that, I don't know, I just was even thinking before we were talking about how, almost work-life balance is not even a thing when you are finding and when you are doing something you enjoy. Like, there's no real definition to it, because it kind of just blends in. There's really almost no such thing as life-work balance when you're working, unless you completely shut it off, like, hey, work's done at this time. Even though, I don't know, I just think there's a lot of people out there that work, and it could be 9 o'clock at night, could be 10 a.m., could be 5 a.m., and they'll be doing something. Whether it's, cause, we're all connected now, so we can be doing emails on our phone and social media on our phone, whatever the case is. So the timeline, there's really no, unless you physically say, I'm not doing something at this time, like from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., but it's like, then again, how hard is it to do that? It's hard to shut everything out.
Yeah, it's funny. when I'm at the grocery store. I actually did it yesterday. I'll be in line, and I love looking at the People magazine and stuff. And I'll look at, and it's work for me. All of a sudden, being in the grocery store, it starts to be work, because then all of a sudden, I'll see like the front of People magazine, or the front of like a sports magazine or something, and then I'm just thinking to myself, like, I'll take a picture, I'll throw it up on my Instagram story, and I'll say something under, because then it gets me thinking. And then all of a sudden, I get in my car and I start thinking about it, and then it leads to another thought, and then another thought. So it's kind of like, too, like, I guess, I guess what I'm trying to almost say is that, sometimes you're just like you don't even think that you're working, but at the end of the day, sometimes you are.
Yeah, and that's why I don't think it isn't a bad thing if you are doing those things. And I think the only thing that would come to mind is like if people are consciously like I use like the yogi as like somebody that does yoga, or like somebody that's like spiritual that says, don't use your phone, or have time to be connected with whatever the case is, whatever you're connected to, So like there's obviously people out there that believe electronics and social media have ruined their lives, and I don't agree with that. But there are people out there that say, okay, you should turn off your phone, you should disconnect, this and that. And so I'd love to hear people's opinions on how I don't know, just how you deal with that. Like, do you think it's a bad thing? I mean, I don't think it is, because I just witnessed the power of connecting with people on social media yesterday morning.
Keep going. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, I literally met that guy that I was telling you about, where I went and worked out through a third degree connection on Instagram. So it's like I would have never connected with those people or went to work out if I wasn't on Instagram and social media, and so I believe in the power of that stuff. I think it's just a way to kind of connect you with other people that maybe. And I was telling you, he has interest in Gary Vaynerchuk and Tony Robbins, and so sometimes it's about connecting with people on there, and then you meet them in person, they have similar, interests than you, and you never meet them unless, you were, I don't know, you'd meet them at work, or, so it just opens up a new pool of people that you can connect with that have similar motivations as you do.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, and again, this is just my personal opinion, if you're not on social media, if you're not on your phone quite a bit working social media, then I firmly believe that, or if somebody in your company, like if you don't have somebody in your company that specifically works social media for you, or if you're not doing it, if you're somehow not getting your brand, your company on social media and out there, you're not working that little gadget that we all call our phones, then you're not going to be, or you're not successful. I just think that's the bottom line.
It's a way to communicate further
funny,
than what we used to.
It's. I talked to someone the other day, and they were like, "Oh yeah, like trying to build a business when you're young. Back in the day when I was younger, we'd have to take out ads, we'd have to pay for this." He's like, you think about it now, you got Instagram, you got Facebook, you got Twitter, you got Snapchat. He's like, that's a way to get your name out nowadays right now for free. All you got to do is download the goddamn app. That's it, which is so true. And, like, people don't take advantage of it. But, like, if you look at, like, E.T., over 500,000 followers. Gary Vaynerchuk, I think he has over 1 million followers. Tony Robbins. Not sure how many he has on there. But again, go in to Instagram and type in famous people, type in successful people's names. And if they have a Twitter, a Facebook, Instagram, they have a lot of followers and they're on there a lot. That's just how it is nowadays. It's funny, going out to eat today for Mother's Day, people are on their phones when they're at the table at the same time trying to hold a conversation. So It's kind of like that's where it is right now, and there's no fighting.
Yeah, the same. Like, well, I was telling you about that. I went out to eat yesterday morning, and we had food, and everybody, the majority of people on the table, I kind of looked up everybody on Instagram the majority of people were over, I'd say over 4,000 in followers, like the people that I was with, you know what I mean? And so we just had gotten done with the workout, and they were already like putting their videos up there, they were putting their posts up there, they were putting their stories up, they were tagging people. So I feel like when you're surrounded by people that are active on social media, it's a little bit more normal to, like, literally they were like the first 20 minutes, whatever, they were all, you know, they were on the phones, you know what I mean? So it's like, when you're around people that are active on social media, that's kind of just the norm of, hey, you know, spend some time on the phones, and then you put the phones down, you connect a little bit, talk. But everybody understands that they have active, you know, they're active on social media, so you're not going to get mad at them that, hey, they're on the phones, you know. So, but I think there's people out there that think that that's disrespectful to be on your phone in front of somebody or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, some people do. It's actually funny. We're out to a nice restaurant today, and you know, old Papa Bear Tony, he looks at us and he goes, "Look at that guy over there. You know, he's got a hat on. So goddamn disrespectful here." And everyone was dressed nice in the restaurant. I just thought it was kind of funny. And we all looked at him like, dude, like, leave the goddamn guy alone, would you? For Christ's sakes, who cares? So
everybody has their own perspective on what's disrespectful. Yeah,
exactly. But you know, something I was just thinking about as you were talking. Work-life balance can be simple as I play in a men's league hockey game twice a week after work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It can just be little stuff like that too.
So almost micro activity, and it could be yoga, it could be whatever whatever you want to consider is your getaways, your escape.
Exactly.
And for me, like this weekend, going to a couple concerts, like for me, that was enjoyable for me, and that was enough to just get me out of the pattern of whatever I was doing. You know, so I think you're right about that. I think just finding activities where, they might take up a little bit of your time, but they'll make you just step away and do something different just for that hour or 2 hours. So that's stuff that I'm trying to do here in Charlotte too, is just get out and do that more. You know, like I played ball hockey the other week, like just go do that and have fun, you know, doing something different and meeting people. And you don't realize all those people that you meet, you just don't know what that's going to be in the future. I mean, the person could get you a job. You just don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, exactly. You know, maybe you join a new hockey league, all of a sudden you meet this guy who's head of a social media company, and he wants somebody to come in and, you know, learn their ways and stuff and all that. So I think it's also good, too, to kind of, you know, get out of your bubble of work and, you know, go out and meet new people and do things so you can make connections, because you never know what they can lead to, you know?
Yeah. And I actually had a thought about this earlier in the week, too, about, you know, coming into, like, meeting somebody new. You know, if I go to play hockey, like ball hockey, and I meet a guy, I was thinking, like, there's two thoughts that I had in my mind. Is like, one is meeting somebody and thinking to myself, oh, okay, what can this guy do for me? And I don't, like, what can he do for me in the future? And going into the new friendship, not whatever you want to call it, friendship, business relationship, going into it and saying, what can this guy do for me? I don't know if that's right. You know, I'm just trying to, like, speak out loud here, but
maybe just throw it out there, reverse that, and maybe say, well, do I have any value? What could I maybe do for him?
Yeah, and that was what I was saying. Was I think a lot of people think, okay, I'm going to join this hockey league because I'm going to network with these people, and then eventually either try to, okay, for me, example, I was studying to do life insurance sales. Okay, what can I do to try to network with people and then try to sell them something? So, like, I don't think that's the right way to think about things. And so when you go in and try to have more work-life balance or try to do different activities, maybe just try to do them without trying to say, what am I going to get out of it from people? You know what I mean? Just go there, like bring yourself there. Don't think. What's that?
I think Darren Chuck says it all the time. You just go in there with no expectations or anything. You just work and see what happens.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, just don't think. I guess don't think, what can he do for me? What can I do for him? You just go in there and you just work as hard as you can and just see what happens.
Yeah. So no, it's an interesting talk, man, because it's not I think it's been discussed a bunch, but it's tough to come.
Yeah.
Just like anything that we talked about, I feel like there's really never a clear-cut answer, but it's always good just to verbalize it.
Because it's all, as you said, it's all predicated on your situation. What do you want? What do you want out of life? Do you want to work 90, 80 hours a week? If you do, awesome, go do it. Do you only want to work 9 to 5, 40, 45 hours a week and then spend the rest of the time with your family or spend the rest of the time with your buddies? You know, do you want to go out drinking? Like, there's no right answer. It's just, what do you want? That's all.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want? You know, I mean, you said it perfectly. If you're getting what you want out of life, then keep doing what you're doing. If you want something different, you let it change your lifestyle. You know, so I think that's basically how I would define it. Work-life balance is what you want out of life. You know?
Yeah, and then just work to answer that question. You know, and for me, it's you know, it's hard to come up with that because I am still looking for exactly what I want to do. So, you know, for me, it's easy to say, yeah, I'm not against a 9 to 5 by any means, but, you know, I've worked plenty enough opportunities of what I don't like or don't enjoy, and so, you know, it's trying to continue to taste different things and then say, hey, listen, you know, like if I go to New York City and, you know, work underneath this guy that's like a filmmaker and find that that's like a passion of mine and that can turn into a full-time income, it's like, okay, well, I've just discovered something that I didn't know because, you know, I was scared to ask, or I was scared to do the video to apply to it, or I was, you know, so don't be afraid to try different things because you may be surprised that work-life balance might become non-existent for you when you do find that thing.
A wise man once said to me, always say yes. You should very rarely be saying no. And if it doesn't work out, you know it's not for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But,
well, I think I think the eagle has landed.
Yeah, it has, a few minutes ago. But I think before we go, grinder of the week.
We got to do the grinder of the week.
I'm going to go first here.
Yeah,
so,
you go first.
My grinder of the week, I don't know his name, so we're just going to call him Guy, okay? So, Guy,
the guy.
Single day in the morning, when I have a break to go home and train my mother on Mondays, Guy is off the highway, on the side of the road, okay, near the roundabout, promoting that climate change is real. He is absolutely there every single morning. Talk about trying to get your message out to people. Climate change is real. I'm pretty sure the science says climate change is real. Don't overlook it. It's happening. And he's out there with his tunes. He's got his headphones in. He's got his cup of coffee, and he's bundled up if it's cold out. Okay? So Guy is my grinder of the week, because he's just trying to get that message out there of global warming, and that this change is happening, and he wants everybody to know. And he's out there every single day. And this is early, it's like 7 a.m., and he's out there for a while, because then when I go back, he's still out there a few hours later. So he's really, he's really trying to get his message out there. He's grinding it out. So, Guy, you're my grinder of the week.
Keep grinding. Keep getting the message out there, buddy.
Right?
Well, mine is kind of reminded me of this guy that I had first met when I was Uber driving. And he introduced himself as Uber Vince, and so they would call him, they call him UV. And I've been wanting to, shout out to UV for a while, but so
UV Blue.
What's that? UV Blue. So, anyways, this is the power of what we talk about, networking and this and that. When I first started Uber driving, I would go down to the airport, and it was a big parking lot. Everybody would be hanging out, So I ran into this guy, UV, and I could tell this guy he was hilarious because I went and took a piss at the urinal, and I come back, and he had, hand wipes. And I was like, what the hell? I was totally unprepared. It was my first time Uber driving, so I didn't have nothing. I was like, man, I need some hand sanitizer. And he pulls out these hand wipes. He's like, hey, man, here you go. Like, damn, okay. And he pulled them out of his glove box or something. He's like, you got to be prepared. So he started telling me about, different things about Ubering and got to get yourself a tip jar and this and that. And this is how you got to work the concerts. And, so he was giving me the lowdown on the Uber game. And so, but the guy is every time I talk to him, I get motivated to work harder. He's always working out in the streets, driving and stuff. So he has a van and he does Uber XL. So he's always, just kind of out there. He's just out there grinding. And the funny part is we've made a connection and he calls it the team. So he has people that are Uber drivers that they don't work for him, but it's just kind of a network of drivers that he's gotten to know. And so I was up here in Mooresville. I was getting ready Friday night to go to a concert, and he calls me up. He goes, "Hey, yo, Tom." He goes, "Hey, I got a guy. One of the team members needs to pick this guy up." And I live in Mooresville, and he's like, "And this guy's in Mooresville, and we're all on the south side of the highway, and we can't get up there because of traffic." He's like, "Can you hook it up? Can you go pick this guy up and bring him to the airport?" And the timing worked out where it was perfect. So I went and picked the guy up and brought him to the airport. And it was like a $60 fare. And so it was like $60 cash, and it was like hell. It was perfect. So knowing him made that connection for me, and it was a benefit for me, but it was also a situation where, because he is out there hustling all the time and getting to know people, he gets these regular clients that, sometimes he just can't get to or whatever. So it trickles down to somebody like me who I've connected with him because he is so personable, and it was just crazy. It's I would have never thought.
It's because you created that relationship too with him, though. That's on your part
that's
too.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, you created a good relationship with him, and he's like, "Oh, you want something? Tommy Boy's reliable. Tommy Boy does a good job. I know how he works. I know he's a good guy. I'm gonna go ask him to do it."
Yeah,
because you're
but
reliable.
The funny thing
is
because
there's relationship with him.
Yeah, and there's two different. I call it could be Uber driving, it could be anything, but there's two different types of people. I feel like there's people like somebody like himself where he gets in the car, he thinks of Ubering as in life. He doesn't just think, I'm going to go drive this vehicle, get paid whatever fare I'm going to get paid, and then be done. He thinks of it as, I'm going to drive this vehicle, I'm going to meet people, I'm going to make connections with people, and I'm going to then, you never know where those connections are going to go, but I'm not going to treat it as just Uber driving and just getting a fare. So he only not only networks with other people like his rider people, but he also networks with drivers, and he can give people opportunities like me to make money. So it's kind of just a lesson on life that I've learned from him is don't underestimate relationships, don't underestimate people that you come across, because they might be able to help you in the future.
Yeah, I know.
So that was my long-winded grinder of the week, but I've been wanting to shout him out for a while. He's a hilarious guy, and he's definitely done a lot in terms of teaching me the Uber game.
The ropes, yeah.
So no, man, that's good.
I love that nickname too. Shout out to UV, great guy. Seems like a great guy. So, UV Blue, baby, let's go.
But all right, man, well, good chat.
Sounds good.
we'll catch you next week. Appreciate everybody listening. And
yeah, definitely. Shout out to everyone that listens.
Give us a like, give us a little bit of love on Instagram, YouTube, all the channels that we're on.
Yeah, also, tell us maybe something, we could do different. Tell us stuff you like that we do, and, tell us something that maybe we could change up.
And if better, you want us to talk about something specific, and I mean, we're open to ideas too. We definitely don't claim to know it all. If there's something that you have a recommendation, let us know.
All right, sounds good.
All right, we'll catch you next week.
Take care.
All right, see ya.